The sun poured through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow across the table where Emma often sat with her children, both still asleep in their rooms. With a soft sigh, she wiped away the faint trace of tears from her eyes and glanced around at the familiar surroundings, ones that felt both comfortingly normal and painfully empty. It had been over a year since her husband, Mark, passed away unexpectedly. Each day since had blurred together, filled with the laughter of her two children, Lucy and Ben, but also overshadowed by an aching absence. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. Emma had always dreamed of being a mother and having a family to love and raise. Mark had been a wonderful partner, supportive, kind, and full of life. They had built their home together, filled with dreams and laughter. But after his passing, everything changed. The house that had once felt like a vibrant place now felt quiet, as if the walls themselves mourned the loss of his energy. Every morning, she woke up determined to give her children the best life she could muster. They needed stability. They needed routines. However, keeping everything together was no easy task. Juggling work while managing school schedules, homework, and extracurricular activities wore her down. Sometimes she found herself daydreaming about the times when everything seemed effortless, when Mark would handle situations with such ease that it made parenting seem simple. But Emma wouldn't let despair take hold for too long. She poured herself into her children. Lucy loved reading and often escaped into the worlds of her favorite books, while Ben was more energetic and always on the move, creating imaginative adventures in their backyard. Emma took pride in making memories with them, whether it was baking cookies on the weekends or hosting movie nights where they laughed until their bellies hurt. Yet, despite these moments of joy, there was a lingering sense of solitude that hung in the air. As joyous sounds echoed through the home, reminders of Mark's absence were everywhere. His old guitar resting silently in the corner, his coffee mug left untouched on the counter, and countless photographs that whispered memories of happier times. The sight of them both reminded her that she was no longer living for three, but for two. One cool afternoon, with a determined heart, Emma decided it was time for a change. With her mind on finding new beginnings rather than dwelling on old sorrows, she gazed out the window at the old shed nestled behind their house. It was a structure filled with unknowns and dust. Over the years, it had collected cobwebs and forgotten memories, much like her own heart. Maybe I can turn it into a play space for Lucy and Ben, she thought. Or maybe there's something useful inside that can spark new projects. The idea ignited a flicker of excitement in her chest. After all, keeping the house tidy felt like an uphill battle sometimes. Perhaps this could be a fresh start for her family. As she stepped outside and made her way toward the shed, anxiety bubbled beneath her skin. What if she stumbled upon reminders of the past that felt too heavy to bear? Oscillating between trepidation and eagerness, she reached for the creaky door handle. The moment she opened it, a rush of stale air brushed against her face. Peering inside, Emma squinted through the dim light that filtered in from above. Cardboard boxes teetered precariously beside old gardening tools and forgotten Halloween decorations. Everything looked so worn out from years of neglect. Yet amid the disarray lay possibilities waiting to be discovered. With each step further inside, memories swirled around her like leaves dancing in a brisk autumn breeze. Memories of Mark trying to fix their first car with laughter spilling from their mouths as if it were a comedy act instead of a chore. This shed had been his domain too. It held remnants of projects they never completed together. With resolve strengthening her spirit, Emma began sorting through piles of seemingly useless items. As she moved things around, she felt as though she might unearth treasures more valuable than gold. Bits and pieces that could connect her to not only Mark's world, but also shape new ones for Lucy and Ben. Each item told a story in its own right. Little did Emma know that what awaited her deep within this old shed would turn out to be far more than just a way to declutter. It would become a pivotal moment in rediscovering family bonds that seemed lost after grief had settled in so heavily. As dust motes danced in sunbeams and shadows crept along the floorboards, she braced herself to unearth surprises that held fragments of joy, sorrow, and hope. All intertwined within her journey as a widowed mother navigating this new chapter alone. As Emma approached the old shed, she felt a mix of curiosity and hesitation. The structure stood slightly crooked, its wooden boards weathered by years of rain and sun. Vines had crept up the sides, as if nature itself was trying to reclaim the space. The faded blue paint was peeling in places, revealing raw wood beneath, while the roof sagged slightly, giving it a character that felt both inviting and foreboding. This shed had been part of their home for as long as Emma could remember. She recalled Mark excitedly building it during one summer, his laughter ringing through the air as he enlisted the help of a neighbor. They had painted it together, sharing moments filled with hope and dreams about the future. It was meant to be a place for tools and projects, a sanctuary for creativity and inspiration. But over the years, it had gradually transformed into a neglected relic, slowly fading into the background of their lives. Now, standing before it, Emma realized how much neglect had taken its toll. The door creaked ominously as she pushed it open, revealing a dim interior that smelled of dust and forgotten memories. Inside, she was greeted by shadows dancing along the walls, illuminated only by slivers of light filtering through cracks in the wood. Old cobwebs hung in corners, like ghostly reminders of the time that had passed. The floor was littered with forgotten items, old gardening tools rusting away, a stack of cardboard boxes teetering precariously, and an assortment of holiday decorations that had lost their luster over time. Emma couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness at how this once vibrant space had become a dumping ground for things they no longer used or cherished. It mirrored her own feelings, full of potential, but clouded by loss. As she stepped further inside, memories flooded her mind. She remembered when Mark would come home with new tools to add to his collection. Their children would play nearby, giggling as they watched him tackle various projects, from fixing the fence to building birdhouses. Those were days filled with laughter and teamwork, where everything felt right in their little world. Now, that laughter echoed only in her heart. Emma glanced around at the chaotic landscape of forgotten treasures. There were remnants of summer barbecues, a half-broken lawn chair that once hosted family gatherings, and an old cooler still bearing stickers from their last camping trip. Each item seemed to whisper stories from the past, stories of joy and love that felt distant, yet oddly comforting. She knelt down to examine one of the boxes covered in dust. Its corners were frayed, hinting that it had been moved around more than once. As Emma opened it carefully, she found old board games, their pieces scattered inside like lost dreams waiting to be rediscovered. She remembered game nights with Mark, where they would compete for bragging rights over silly games like Monopoly or Scrabble, surrounded by chips and laughter late into the evening. Nearby, an old bicycle leaned against the wall, its tires flat and rusty chains tangled. It was Lucy's first bike, which Mark had lovingly painted pink for her birthday. Emma smiled at the thought of Lucy's excitement as she learned to ride it with her father cheering her on. But now it sat forgotten and abandoned, much like many parts of their lives after Mark's passing. Taking a deep breath, Emma shook off feelings of sadness and resolved to breathe new life into this place. She envisioned not just cleaning out the shed, but creating a space filled with joy again. Perhaps turning it into a fun play area for her children or an art studio where they could unleash their creativity together. As her mind raced with possibilities, she felt a spark igniting her spirit. If she could organize this shed and bring back its purpose, maybe she could also find ways to rekindle connections with Lucy and Ben. They could fill this space with laughter again, making new memories while celebrating the old ones. Emma stood up slowly, brushing dust off her hands as she looked around one last time. There was beauty hidden under layers of neglect. All it needed was someone willing to uncover it. With renewed determination swelling in her chest, she knew that exploring this old shed was not just about cleaning up. It was about rediscovering hope and transforming grief into something meaningful for her family's future. With a deep breath, Emma stepped back and considered the old shed more closely. It loomed there like an unwritten chapter of their family's story, waiting for her to turn the page. The thought of cleaning it out filled her with a sense of purpose. Not only did she need space in her cluttered home, but she also felt a curious pull to uncover what lay within. Treasures of the past that could inspire hope for their future. Determined to get started, Emma made a mental list of what she needed for the task ahead. Gloves to protect her hands from the dust and grime, a few trash bags to dispose of broken items, and some boxes to keep anything she wanted to salvage. As she gathered her supplies, a sense of excitement bubbled beneath her worries. This was more than just cleaning. It was an opportunity to reconnect with memories that shaped their family and to create new experiences with Lucy and Ben. The next morning, Emma awoke early, invigorated by the mission ahead. The sun's rays spilled into the kitchen as she prepared a quick breakfast for her children. Lucy and Ben were excitedly bickering over which movie they would watch later, their voices filled with energy that brought a smile to Emma's face. She felt grateful for their laughter, but beneath it lingered the quiet sadness of missing Mark. "Hey, do you two want to help me with something exciting today?" Emma asked, trying to match their enthusiasm. They paused and exchanged curious glances, raising their eyebrows in unison. "What is it?" Ben asked, his eyes sparkling with interest. "I'm going to clean out the old shed outside," Emma announced. "There might be some fun things inside that we can use or remember." Lucy's face lit up like a light bulb. "Can I help? I want to see what's in there." Ben nodded eagerly. "Yeah, maybe we will find treasure." Their excitement made Emma's heart swell. It was time for them all to work together and bond through memories while discovering new ones. She gathered her supplies again and led the way to the shed, her children following closely behind like a parade of eager helpers. As they approached the door, Emma felt both nostalgia and apprehension wash over her again. She took hold of the creaky doorknob and pushed open the heavy door with a loud groan that echoed around them. Dust motes danced in the beams of sunlight, peeking through cracks in the walls as they stepped inside. Together, they began sifting through boxes and forgotten items, piled high throughout the shed. The air smelled musty, but that only added to the thrill of discovery. Emma handed out gloves, and they all began pulling things out one by one. "Look at this," Ben yelled as he uncovered an old soccer ball with deflated edges covered in grass stains. "We used to play with this all the time." A smile crept on Emma's face as she saw him cradling the weathered ball like a piece of gold. It brought back memories of weekend afternoons spent kicking it around the yard with Mark cheering them on. Meanwhile, Lucy found an old paint set buried beneath layers of dusty boxes. "Mom, can we use this for art projects?" she exclaimed excitedly. "Absolutely," Emma said, her heart glowing at the thought of painting together again. Something they had all enjoyed as a family before Mark passed away. Hours passed as they worked side by side, sharing stories about each item they found. They laughed over silly memories associated with their father while unearthing pieces that reminded them of him. A wooden toy car Mark had crafted for Ben, some favorite books once read together under cozy blankets during rainy afternoons. And even holiday decorations from years past that evoked fond memories. When they finally took a break, they sat on the floor surrounded by heaps of treasured memories and discarded items. The shed no longer felt like a neglected relic. It brimmed with potential now that they had filled it with life again. "We've done so much already," Emma said, looking at her children with pride. "And look at all these wonderful memories we found." As she spoke these words, she knew deep down that this was just the beginning. An opportunity for growth as they prepared to create new moments together. Rejuvenated by their teamwork and discoveries, Emma felt hopeful about what lay ahead. Together, they would fill their lives with joy once more, while cherishing the love that would always remain part of them in spirit. As Emma stood at the entrance of the old shed, a wave of anxiety washed over her. The door creaked as she pushed it open, the sound echoing in the stillness, making her heart race. She took a moment to pause and gather her thoughts. The dim interior was cloaked in shadows, and dust motes floated lazily in the filtered light that slipped through the cracks. It felt as if she were stepping into a time capsule, one that held both cherished memories and painful reminders. With trepidation, she stepped inside. Emma's senses were overwhelmed by the musty scent of aged wood and forgotten things. Each item seemed to carry a weight of nostalgia, pulling her back to moments long past. She spotted an old gardening tool lying on the floor, and instantly, memories of Mark flooded her mind. Weekends spent tending to their garden, laughter mingling with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. He had always taken such pride in nurturing their little patch of earth, teaching Lucy and Ben how to plant seeds and watch them grow. As Emma moved deeper into the shed, she felt the familiar sting of tears prick at her eyes. She found herself gazing at the faint outline of a bicycle that had once belonged to Ben. It was bright blue with a shiny silver bell, a birthday gift from Mark that had sparked joyous memories of sunny afternoons racing around the yard. Ben had been so delighted when he first learned to ride it, his father running alongside him with encouraging shouts. Those days seemed like a different lifetime now. Her heart swelled with conflicting emotions as she recalled Mark's enthusiastic laughter echoing through their home during family activities. The shed had been a space where they created together. It was not simply a storage area, but also a place filled with love and shared dreams. Emma felt guilty for having neglected it for so long, for letting it become a shadow of what it once was. "Mom, look at this," Ben's voice called out, breaking through her reverie. He held up an old baseball glove that was worn at the edges, but still sturdy enough for use. The sight sent another rush of memories crashing over her. Weekends spent at Little League games, Mark cheering proudly from the sidelines, while Emma snapped photos of their children as they played. "Wow, I remember when Dad taught you how to catch," Emma replied, forcing a smile even as her heart tightened with longing. "You were so determined." Ben grinned back at her, his eyes sparkling with excitement as he slid his hand into the glove. "Can we use this again? Maybe we can play catch later." "Of course, we'll definitely do that," Emma said, resolution filling her voice as she pushed back her own sadness for their sake. Meanwhile, Lucy crouched near an old wooden box filled with tangled cords and unfamiliar tools. As she rummaged through its contents, she pulled out an old paintbrush that looked eerily familiar. "Look at this! I remember when Dad painted that big mural in our living room," she exclaimed. "Yes, that took him ages." Emma laughed softly, recalling how Mark had carefully crafted vibrant colors on the wall while Lucy watched in awe. It had been such a special project for their family, turning an ordinary space into something magical together. Yet amid these joyous recollections laid layers of sorrow. Each reminder of Mark's absence felt like a thread being pulled from the fabric of their family life. The ache in Emma's heart made it difficult to breathe at times. Nostalgia often twisted into pain when she remembered how much they had lost. With every box opened and every memory recalled, Emma felt both hopeful and heavy-hearted. She was on a journey, one that required courage to face not only what lay buried in this shed, but also what lay within herself. Grief mingled with love. Determined not to let sadness overshadow them entirely, Emma took a deep breath and summoned her strength. She needed to honor these memories while also creating new ones with Lucy and Ben in this very space where laughter once flourished. As they continued sorting through piles of forgotten items together, Emma understood that this process wouldn't just be about decluttering. It would serve as an act of remembrance and healing for all three of them. They could reshape this neglected sanctuary into something beautiful once more, a space where they could forge ahead while keeping Mark's spirit alive in their hearts. With renewed resolve igniting within her, Emma smiled through tears as she exchanged glances with her children. This shed might have held echoes of the past, but together they would breathe new life into it, turning anxiety into hope and nostalgia into joy once more. As the afternoon sun streamed through the dusty windows of the shed, Emma and her children continued to sift through the clutter, their excitement growing with each item they uncovered. What had initially seemed like a daunting task of cleaning quickly transformed into a delightful treasure hunt filled with laughter and nostalgia. "Check this out," Ben exclaimed, holding up a small box that rattled softly as he moved. Emma stepped closer, her heart fluttering with anticipation. As he opened it, they found an assortment of marbles, colorful and shiny, glimmering like jewels in the muted light. "Dad used to have these when he was a kid," Ben said, his eyes wide with wonder. Emma's mind raced back to family game nights, where Mark would show them how to play marbles on the living room floor. She could almost hear Mark's playful voice explaining the rules as the kids laughed and cheered whenever someone made a great shot. "Oh, I remember those." "We should have a marble tournament," Emma suggested, grinning at her kids. "Yes, and I'll win," Ben declared confidently as he slid the marbles back into their box. Meanwhile, Lucy had wandered over to an old shelf laden with various tools and paint supplies. She picked up a paintbrush that had seen better days and waved it in excitement. "Mom, look at this. It's the brush Dad used for painting our mural," she shouted, her eyes sparkling with recognition. Emma felt a wave of warmth wash over her. "You're right. He loved that mural. Remember how we all painted together?" "He let you pick the colors," she replied, smiling at the memory of their hands coated in bright paint and laughter filling the air as they turned their living room into a vibrant masterpiece. Lucy's enthusiasm was contagious as she rubbed the bristles between her fingers. "Can we do something like that again?" "Absolutely." Emma responded, her heart lifting at the thought of creating more memories together in that very space where love had flourished. As they ventured further into the shed, Emma noticed an old wooden crate tucked away in a dark corner. Curiosity piqued. She pulled it into the light and lifted the lid slowly. Inside lay an assortment of tools, hammers, screwdrivers, and even a few wooden toys that Mark had made for Ben when he was younger. The toys were worn but sturdy, remnants of afternoons spent crafting together. "Look at this," Emma exclaimed as she pulled out a small wooden car with bright blue wheels. "Dad made this for you," she said to Ben, who rushed over to inspect it closely. Ben's face lit up with delight as he grabbed it from her hands. "I remember this. It went super fast down the hill." His voice was filled with nostalgia as he recalled racing it along their sidewalk during summer days. "Let's take care of it," Emma urged gently, feeling emotional about how these little artifacts captured not just memories, but moments of joy from their lives together as a family. Still exploring, Lucy stumbled upon an old teddy bear sitting behind some boxes. Its fur was matted, and its button eyes were dull from years of being forgotten. She held it up triumphantly, like a prize won after a great adventure. "Mom, look, Mr. Snuggles!" she cried out gleefully. "Oh my goodness, I thought we lost him forever," Emma exclaimed, rushing over to take the bear in her arms. She brushed off some dust before handing it back to Lucy, who hugged it tightly against her chest. Lucy's eyes sparkled with happiness as she clutched Mr. Snuggles close. "Can I keep him in my room again?" "Of course," Emma replied softly, feeling grateful for every little piece they were uncovering that connected them back to Mark. Pieces that reinforced their family bond despite his absence. Hours passed as they sorted through forgotten treasures among layers of dust and memories within the shed's confines. Each object sparked stories and laughter. It became clear this wasn't just about decluttering. It was about cherishing what once was while creating space for what will be. Emma watched as Lucy and Ben excitedly shared findings with each other. Little keepsakes that ignited joy while also recognizing moments filled with love from their dad. The shed transformed from mere storage into something rich with history and potential for new beginnings. Finally taking a break on an old blanket spread across the floor amidst piles of what they had uncovered, Emma looked at her children deeply moved by how far they had come in just one afternoon. This journey through their past would pave paths toward healing and connection moving forward, all sparked by hidden treasures buried within an old shed that held echoes of laughter long ago shared by their beloved family unit. With renewed determination glowing within them all, Emma realized that often in finding what is lost comes strength to embrace what lies ahead. Turning clutter into treasures imbued with memories, waiting to create new stories filled with love once more. As Emma and her children continued their exploration of the old shed, a sense of excitement bubbled within her as she stumbled upon a large, weathered trunk tucked away in a shadowy corner. Dust settled on its surface, and the once vibrant paint had faded over the years. But the trunk still held an air of mystery that intrigued her. Emma felt her heart race at the thought of what might be hidden inside. "Mom, what's that?" Lucy asked, her voice tinged with curiosity as she noticed Emma's interest in the trunk. "I'm not sure," Emma replied, wiping away dust with her hand. "But I think it's time to find out." With a deep breath, she knelt down beside the trunk, feeling both excited and apprehensive about what lay within. It seemed to beckon to her, whispering secrets of the past. Emma could almost sense Mark's presence around her, as if he had left behind pieces of himself within this old chest. She glanced at Lucy and Ben, who were equally captivated by the sight. Should we open it together? Emma suggested, glancing at her kids with a hopeful smile. Yes, let's do it, Ben exclaimed enthusiastically, bouncing on his toes. Emma reached for the rusty latch and pulled it open with a creak that echoed through the shed, sending a shiver down her spine. The lid lifted slowly, revealing a dark interior filled with soft shadows. With each inch it opened, Emma's heart raced faster. What could be inside? Old clothes? Family keepsakes? Perhaps even letters from long ago. As she peered inside, she caught sight of various items stacked haphazardly. Folded blankets, stacks of old photographs in faded envelopes, and a small wooden box that seemed to glimmer in the dim light. Emma felt a wave of emotions wash over her as she recognized some of these things from past family gatherings, remnants that made up their shared history. "Can we help?" Lucy asked eagerly. "Of course," Emma smiled. "Let's see what treasures we can uncover together." They began pulling out items carefully. First came a set of cozy blankets with vibrant patterns that reminded Emma of chilly evenings spent snuggled on the couch as a family. Next was a bundle of photographs tied with twine. Each picture told its own story. Snapshots of birthday parties, vacations at the beach, and celebrations filled with laughter and joy. "Oh, look, this one is from our trip to the lake," Lucy exclaimed as she held up a picture of all four of them grinning ear to ear in front of their rented canoe. Emma felt tears prick at her eyes as she took in the sight. Mark's joyful smile captured forever in that moment. "That was such a fun day," she said softly, trying to hold back her emotions. "We should plan another trip like that." As they continued rummaging through the trunk, they uncovered an assortment of keepsakes. Handmade crafts from school projects, trinkets collected from vacations, and even a few cards written in Mark's familiar handwriting expressing love and encouragement for his family. "This is so cool," Ben shouted as he discovered an old harmonica tucked beneath some blankets. "Dad used to play this." "Let's see if you can still play it," Emma encouraged him as Ben blew into it tentatively. The sound squeaked out comically before he broke into laughter. "I can't play like he did." Ben giggled, but held onto it tightly, as if it were a precious treasure from his dad. Finally, they reached the small wooden box that had caught Emma's eye earlier. It was adorned with delicate carvings that hinted at something special inside. With trembling hands, Emma opened it slowly to find beautifully handwritten letters. Love notes Mark had written to her during their courtship and early years together. The sight of those letters tugged at Emma's heartstrings. Each word felt like a warm embrace reminding her of their deep connection. She read bits here and there aloud to Lucy and Ben, sharing snippets of their father's hopes and dreams for their future as a family. "Wow. Dad loved you so much," Lucy said softly, eyes wide as she listened intently. "Yes, he did," Emma replied with a gentle smile despite feeling tears welling up again. "And he loved you both more than anything in this world." The trunk had turned out to be more than just a collection of forgotten items. It was a treasure trove filled with memories that connected them all to Mark. Stories woven into fabric and paper that would always hold them together, even in his absence. As they sat together on the floor, surrounded by treasures from their past, Emma felt a renewed sense of warmth fill her heart. They were not just cleaning out a shed. They were rediscovering pieces of themselves and celebrating their family history together. With each new discovery came laughter and moments that would help them heal while building stronger bonds moving forward. The old trunk had revealed not only memories, but also hope. A reminder that love endures even when faced with loss. As Emma and her children sat in the shed, surrounded by the treasures they had just uncovered, her gaze fell back on the small wooden box that had intrigued her so much. With trembling fingers, she decided to open it again, realizing that it could hold even more surprises. Stories from Mark's past that might reveal aspects of him she had yet to discover. Lucy and Ben leaned in closer, their eyes wide with anticipation. Inside the box lay a collection of delicate letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. Emma felt a flutter of excitement mixed with apprehension as she carefully picked up one of the letters and untied the ribbon. The paper was slightly worn but intact, and as she unfolded it slowly, a familiar handwriting greeted her. Mark's elegant script flowed across the page like music notes on a staff. "Mom, what is it?" Ben asked, sensing her awe. "It looks like love letters," Emma replied softly, glancing at her children before reading aloud. "This one is dated from before we were married." The room seemed to fade away as she read the words penned by Mark long before their family came to be. The letters spoke of his hopes for the future and his dreams of having a family filled with laughter and love. He wrote about how he felt when he first met Emma, detailing moments from their early days together that brought warmth to her heart. "I remember this," Emma said nostalgically after finishing the first letter. "He would tell me all about his plans for us." She glanced at Lucy and Ben, who were both listening intently. "Did you know how much Dad loved you?" Lucy asked quietly, her eyes shimmering with curiosity. "Yes," Emma assured her gently, but added, "But I'm learning more about him here today." She smiled softly as she continued reading through several letters, each one revealing a different story, tales of joy and struggles alike. One letter described Mark's excitement over their engagement. He penned beautiful words about how he could hardly sleep for joy. Another recounted how he hoped to be a great father someday, expressing eagerness about watching their future children grow up. "Wow, Dad really wanted us to be happy," Ben remarked as he shuffled closer to peek over Emma's shoulder at the aging pages. "Yes," Emma replied fondly. "He cherished every moment we spent together. It meant everything to him." The emotions swirled within her as memories flashed through her mind. Moments spent laughing during family dinners or cuddled up on the couch watching movies together. After finishing the last letter from the bundle, Emma shifted her focus toward a stack of photographs nestled beneath them. As she sorted through them carefully, she let out an involuntary gasp when she spotted an old photograph from Mark's childhood. Images bursting with life that captured memories not just from their lives, but also from his upbringing. "Look at this," she exclaimed as she held up the photo showing young Mark playing outside with friends on what looked like a sun-drenched day. Ben leaned in closer to examine it, while Lucy gasped in recognition. "He was so little," Lucy said with wonder in her voice. "Yes, and look how carefree he looked." Emma couldn't help but smile at how vibrant and full of energy Mark appeared in those snapshots. Reminiscences of simpler times danced around them like golden rays, so bright yet distant now. They delved deeper into the photographs together. Shots of Mark smiling at school events, celebrating holidays with his family in jovial gatherings where joy emanated from every corner, captured by the camera lens. Each snapshot unveiling layers of a man who was filled not only with love for his family, but also dreams that reached beyond immediate life's experiences. With every photograph handed around between them came discussions about who was in them, or whether they recognized any familiar traits passed down through generations. Unearthing aspects of Mark they may never have realized existed so intricately woven into their own identities. It humbled Emma to uncover pieces of both herself and their father entangled within these memories, scattered among photo corners. Hints illuminating why they did things certain ways, or why they shared specific laughs during simple moments such as cooking dinner together, while teaching skills that turned tasks into something special, linked firmly between them all. As they closed up boxes and settled back into comfortable silence amidst shared reflections on things learned through these discoveries, flooded memories over time, too swiftly gone, Emma realized just how invaluable this treasure trunk really was. Not solely because it contained fragments belonging to Mark's past, but because it helped reshape connections nestled warmly within their present. A reminder woven into cherished threads, binding them closely together, still even years later. Despite loss experienced along distant pathways ahead, still beckoning brightly ahead, filled mostly with love remaining eternal among them. Forevermore, amid laughter, echoing gently throughout spaces once paved by joy. Left behind, awaiting new stories, waiting patiently, yet again, drawing nearer toward tomorrow. Shaping brighter tomorrows, unfolding beautifully together, still bound forever, deeply within hearts, remembering always who once stood beside them throughout life, chasing dreams fulfilled alongside those cherished. Who showed endless devotion, deeply anchored eternally, among loving ties grown stronger, continuously finding light, reaching ever farther illuminated, brightly weaving through memories crafted anew, reminding always enduring love, bringing forth joy. Guiding paths upward, leading onward, embracing lives fulfilled, moving forward, boldly, everlastingly, onward. As Emma sat cross-legged on the floor of the shed, surrounded by the treasures she had just uncovered, she felt a wave of emotion wash over her as she reread Mark's letters. Each word felt like a connection to him, sparking memories that had lain dormant since his passing. She could hear his voice in her mind, the warmth of his laughter echoing faintly as she recalled the way he would speak about their dreams together. "Mom, are you okay?" Lucy asked softly, noticing the tears glistening in Emma's eyes. Emma nodded, though her throat felt tight. "I'm just really happy to read these," she replied, wiping away a tear with the back of her hand. "It's like he's here with us right now." With her children gathered around her, Emma began to read aloud from the letters, sharing snippets of Mark's thoughts and feelings. The first letter spoke of his excitement about their engagement, detailing how he could hardly contain his joy when he proposed. "I remember this day," Emma said with a soft smile, recalling how Mark had nervously proposed during a picnic in the park, his hands shaking slightly as he presented her with a simple but beautiful ring. The children listened, intently, wide-eyed and curious as they absorbed every word. "He wrote about how he wanted to be a great husband and father," Emma continued, feeling a lump form in her throat. Reading those words allowed her to connect with Mark in ways she hadn't imagined possible since his passing. It was as if he were speaking directly to them, reminding them of the love that still lingered in their hearts. Ben leaned closer, eager to hear more. "What else does it say?" Emma turned to another letter and read about Mark's dreams for their family. How he envisioned laughter filling their home and wanted nothing more than to create beautiful memories together. "He wrote this before we even had you two," she explained, glancing at her children with love. "He dreamed about our family long before we became one." Lucy smiled softly at this revelation. "Dad really cared a lot." "Yes, he did," Emma replied with a sigh, her heart swelling with both love and sorrow. She realized how little she had known about some of Mark's hopes and dreams before reading these letters. Each one peeled back layers of their life together that she had either forgotten or never fully understood. As she continued reading through the stack of letters, Emma discovered one where Mark had written about his fears. Not just about being a father, but also about being a good partner. He expressed doubt about whether he could provide everything they needed and how much he wanted to make Emma proud. He worried so much, Emma said softly, feeling a pang of empathy for the man she loved. But he always tried so hard. Ben looked up at her, confusion etching his young features. But Dad was always great. He was funny and nice. He was, Emma agreed, smiling through her tears. And that's because he cared deeply for all of us. This emotional journey through Mark's words drew them closer together as they shared stories and experiences while reminiscing about him. The letters became threads weaving through their family tapestry, connecting past memories to present moments filled with love. Finally, they reached the end of the letters and turned their attention to the photographs nestled beneath them. Emma picked up an old picture showing Mark as a bright-eyed young man playing outside with friends, carefree and full of life. Her heart swelled with pride as she pointed out familiar traits that Ben and Lucy shared with their father. "You have Dad's smile," Emma said lovingly to Ben as they looked at a photo where Mark was grinning widely at the camera. "And you have his eyes," she added to Lucy, who beamed at the connection. Looking through these photos sparked laughter as they reminisced about moments spent together, family vacations, birthday parties filled with games and cake fights. And they began to share stories that brought warmth back into their hearts as they sifted through each cherished memory captured in those images. Emma felt something shift within her. Healing began to take root alongside sorrow. The letters had opened doors to new understanding while reinforcing their bond as a family navigating grief together. By the time they finished going through everything in the trunk, Emma realized this experience had transformed something painful into an opportunity for connection and growth. It wasn't just about remembering Mark. It was also about celebrating him while cherishing what they shared as a family moving forward. "Thank you for sharing this with us," Lucy said quietly, after a long pause filled only by memories rediscovered and emotions shared openly among them all. Emma smiled warmly at her children, who had grown even closer through this journey together, reminding them that while loss might color their lives differently now, love remained an unbreakable thread, weaving them tightly together forevermore. After spending a heartfelt afternoon exploring the trunk and uncovering Mark's letters and photographs, Emma felt a renewed sense of connection with her children. As they sat together, surrounded by the remnants of their family history, she knew it was important to discuss what they had found and how it shaped their understanding of their father. "Wow, I didn't know Dad had so many dreams for us," Lucy said, her eyes still sparkling with excitement from reading the letters. "He really wanted to make us happy." "Yes," Emma replied, nodding as she took a moment to gather her thoughts. These letters show just how much he cared about our family and how he wanted to be there for us. Ben chimed in, holding up a photograph of Mark as a young boy playing outside. "Look at him. He was so little and happy. Did you ever play with him when he was this age?" Emma smiled at Ben's curiosity. "I didn't know him then, but I've heard stories from his parents about his childhood." She felt inspired to share more about Mark's past with her children. "He was adventurous and loved climbing trees. He once told me that he would climb up high just to see the world from above. It made him feel free." Lucy leaned in closer, intrigued. "Did he ever tell you about his favorite tree?" Emma chuckled softly, recalling a story Mark had shared long ago. "Yes, he had a favorite climbing tree in his backyard where he spent countless hours playing with friends. He said it was like a castle for them." "That sounds so cool," Ben exclaimed, imagining the adventures his father must have had. After exchanging stories about Mark's childhood, Emma shifted the conversation toward what they remembered from their own experiences with him. "What are some of your favorite memories with Dad?" she asked gently. Lucy thought for a moment before speaking up. "I remember when we went camping last summer. Dad taught us how to roast marshmallows over the fire." Her face lit up as she recalled the warmth of that evening under a blanket of stars. "He made the best s'mores." Ben grinned widely. "And he let us stay up late to watch shooting stars. That was awesome." Emma joined in their laughter, feeling grateful for those shared moments. "He loved making everything special for you both, turning ordinary nights into magical memories." As they continued reminiscing, Emma noticed how engaged her children were in recounting their experiences with Mark. It brought her joy to see them connecting with their father's spirit through these conversations, keeping his memory alive within their hearts. "Do you think Dad would want us to do something special with all these treasures?" Lucy asked thoughtfully as she looked around at the letters and photos scattered around them. "I think he would love that idea," Emma responded warmly. She felt inspired by Lucy's suggestion. "Maybe we could create a memory box or scrapbook where we can keep everything safe and add new memories as we make them together." Ben's eyes lit up at the thought. "That sounds fun. We can decorate it together." "Yes," Lucy agreed enthusiastically. "We should include pictures and write down our favorite things about Dad." Emma's heart swelled with pride as she listened to her children brainstorm ideas filled with love and creativity. She realized that this was more than just finding old items. It was about creating new traditions that honored Mark, while also bringing them closer together as a family. "We can start right now if you'd like," Emma suggested, her excitement bubbling over as she saw the spark in her children's eyes. Together, they gathered all the letters and photographs again, sorting through them carefully while discussing which ones held the most meaning to each of them. Each item sparked further conversations about family history. Tales of laughter shared during holidays or lessons learned while spending time together. As they worked side by side on their memory box project, Emma felt warmth radiating from within her. It was more than just happiness, it was healing. The process allowed them not only to remember Mark, but also to celebrate him in ways that reinforced their family bond. In that moment, surrounded by love and laughter amidst treasures from the past, Emma realized that although grief would always be part of their journey, sharing memories and creating new ones could help light the way forward, guiding them toward brighter tomorrows woven together by enduring love that would never fade away. The shed had transformed from a place filled with dusty relics into a sanctuary where they could honor their dad's memory while forging new paths forward as a united family, always cherishing who he was while allowing love to guide them into what lay ahead. As Emma and her children continued to sort through the letters and photographs from Mark, a profound realization settled within her. The significant importance of preserving memories and sharing stories within their family. Surrounded by the remnants of their past, she felt an overwhelming need to ensure that Mark's legacy lived on through these memories they were discovering together. "Mom," Lucy said thoughtfully, her fingers tracing the edges of a faded photograph. "Why do you think Dad wrote these letters? Like, what was he trying to say?" Emma paused for a moment, considering how best to respond. "I think he wanted us to know how much he loved us, how important family was to him, and that he always dreamed about us being happy together." She smiled softly as she looked at Lucy. "He wanted to share his thoughts with us, even if he wasn't here anymore." Ben piped up with wide eyes. "It's like we're hearing his voice again. I wish I could just ask him more questions." "That's exactly it. Emma said, heart swelling at Ben's words. Through these letters and photos, we can ask questions and have him answer them in a way. It helps us remember who he was and what he meant to us. After gathering some of the most cherished letters into a neat pile, Emma turned toward her children with renewed energy. What if we not only create a scrapbook, but also start telling stories about our family whenever we look through it? Lucy nodded eagerly. And we can add new stories each time we make a new memory. I love that idea, Ben agreed. He grinned as he picked up one of the photos showing their dad with a big goofy grin on his face during a holiday dinner. What about that time Dad made Grandma laugh so hard she snorted? Emma chuckled at the memory. Yes, he had quite the talent for making everyone laugh. She could see how this reminiscing lit up both their faces, turning sorrow into precious joy as they remembered happiness rather than just loss. Gathering more photographs, Emma spread them out before her children. Each picture brought forth laughter and shared memories. Moments of climbing trees in their backyard or camping trips where Mark had taught them how to catch fireflies under starlit skies. Look at this one, Lucy exclaimed as she held up an old picture from their last family vacation at the beach. Remember how Dad helped me build that huge sand castle? He even gave it a flag, Ben added enthusiastically, while mimicking Mark's exaggerated gestures during that sandy adventure. Yes, and you two insisted on decorating it with seashells, Emma said fondly, recalling the laughter shared as they spent time together creating their sandy masterpiece. As they continued to flip through pictures and discuss meaningful events from their shared history, Emma felt warmth growing inside her. It dawned on her that this wasn't just nostalgia. It was about shaping a future rooted in remembrance and love. We should write down all our favorite stories, Emma suggested as excitement bubbled among them. And maybe even include things we appreciate about Dad. What made him special? Ben nodded enthusiastically, while Lucy began brainstorming ideas aloud for everything they could include in their scrapbook. From funny anecdotes to heartfelt lessons learned from Mark over the years. Taking note of each suggestion made Emma realize just how vital these conversations would be in helping her children process their grief while continuing to feel connected to Mark's memory. She knew there would always be moments where sadness lingered. However, discussing shared tales would help create new pathways leading toward healing and joy. As evening approached, they sat amidst scattered photographs and letters filled with incredible stories waiting for each page turn, starting an important tradition that would thread through generations ahead. A reminder of who they once were together. Steeped in love, nurtured through laughter, echoing softly alongside tears, intertwining beautifully, reflecting light, shining brightly among them onward into brighter tomorrows. In those moments spent gathered together, sharing warmth against the shadows cast by loss, came cells lined along enduring veins, binding them unbreakably across time. Weaving cherished memories far beyond mere artifacts, uncovered within dusty corners, transforming pieces once lost into something brightly alive, glowing warmly still, even amidst aching heartache, shining light upon tomorrow, boundless forevermore. As Emma, Lucy, and Ben continued to sift through the letters and photographs, a palpable shift began to emerge in their family dynamics. The air surged with a renewed sense of connection, each shared story weaving them closer together as they navigated their memories of Mark. The weight of grief, while still present, began to lighten under the warmth of laughter and reminiscing. Remember when we went on that camping trip and Dad forgot the s'mores? Emma prompted as she tucked away a particularly touching letter. He was so upset he had forgotten one of the most important parts. Lucy giggled at this memory. But then he tried to make us roasted apples instead, It was a total disaster. Ben joined in with animated gestures, reenacting Mark's exaggerated disappointment over the missing s'mores. Yeah, I can still hear him saying he needed a camping fail badge. Ben laughed heartily, his eyes sparkling with amusement. Moments like these illuminated how sharing such anecdotes not only honored Mark's spirit, but also reinforced their family bond. With each tale shared, Emma felt a warmth spreading through her heart. She realized that talking about Mark was not just about remembering a loved one who had passed. It was also about keeping his essence alive within their home and family culture. The stories became anchor points for them all, reminders of the love that once filled their home and continue to shape their lives even now. Hey, do you think we could write down all these stories in our scrapbook? Asked Lucy, her eyes lighting up with excitement. We could call it Dad's Greatest Hits. Ben snorted at the thought. Or The Adventures of Dad, Epic Failures and Amazing Successes. Emma chuckled along with her children. She appreciated how humor could coexist with sadness. It was as if laughter forged a bridge across their shared loss and transformed it into something they could celebrate together. They agreed to jot down every story they could remember about Mark for their memory box. Each would build on another until they created a beautiful tapestry representing both joy and sorrow intertwined. As the evening wore on, conversations deepened. They began discussing family traditions that could keep Mark's memory alive well into the future. What do you think Dad would want us to do every year? Lucy pondered thoughtfully. Emma considered this for a moment before answering. He always loved holidays and special occasions. I know he'd want us to celebrate them together as a family. She felt inspired remembering how Mark would enthusiastically decorate the house for each holiday or plan vacations around creating lasting memories. How about we start a new tradition where we tell stories about him during Thanksgiving dinner? Ben suggested eagerly. Yes, and we can make his favorite recipes together, Lucy added excitedly. Like that pumpkin pie he always made. The room buzzed with ideas as they scrambled to remember more about what made their dad unique during special moments throughout the year. Whether it was silly holiday costumes or unforgettable birthday parties filled with laughter and games. In these discussions, Emma observed just how much bonding took place when they shared these experiences openly. It allowed them all to voice both happiness and sorrow without fear, creating an atmosphere where emotions flowed freely while fostering understanding among them. Their hearts began healing gradually as each moment spent together reminded them who they were alongside one another. A family navigating life hand in hand, even amidst uncertainty ahead. Finally, settling back into comfortable silence surrounded by photographs scattered like stars across the floor. Emma reflected on how significant this journey had been for all of them. The exploration of memories not only shed light on who Mark was, but also revealed deeper connections between herself and her children. Connections strengthened through shared experiences passing from generation to generation. It became clear that preserving memories wasn't merely an act reserved for keeping the past alive. It also served as a powerful tool for shaping their future as a united front moving forward, translating grief into cherished remembrance that would resonate brightly amongst them forevermore. The shed transformed from being just an old storage space into sacred ground, filled not merely with dust-covered relics, but rather vibrant echoes resonating through time. Laughter mingling lovingly alongside tears leading toward bright tomorrows, woven seamlessly by enduring love forever. Illuminated gently guiding paths ahead, filled with hope, leading onward beautifully into futures crafting new stories, waiting patiently beyond horizons yet unseen. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over the shed, Emma sat with Lucy and Ben, reflecting on the incredible journey they had taken that day. What had begun as a simple task of cleaning out an old shed had transformed into something truly profound. They had uncovered not just forgotten items, but also pieces of their family history that deepened their connections to each other and to Mark. Emma looked at her children, who were now engaged in decorating the scrapbook they had decided to create. A charming blend of drawings, photos, and handwritten stories about their adventures and memories with their father. Each page was meticulously adorned with crayons and stickers, evidence of the excitement that had built throughout the afternoon. "It's amazing how much we found today," Emma said softly, her heart swelling with pride. "I never realized how important it would be to talk about Dad and share these stories with you both." Lucy paused in her decorating and nodded thoughtfully. "It feels good to remember all the fun times we had with him," she said, her eyes shining with understanding. "Like when he built that huge sandcastle at the beach. Yeah, I can still see him running around with that silly straw hat on," Ben added, giggling at the memory. Emma smiled as she watched their enthusiasm. It reminded her of how important it was to preserve these memories, not just for herself, but for them as well. They were actively participating in keeping Mark's spirit alive, ensuring that his legacy would continue to shape their lives even in his absence. "Do you think Dad ever thought we would be sitting here doing this?" Emma asked, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. "I think he would have loved it," Lucy exclaimed. "He always wanted us to have fun together." Emma felt a sense of comfort wash over her. The weight of grief that had once felt so heavy began to lift gradually as they shared laughter and stories. It became evident that their exploration of the past had empowered them to look ahead with a renewed sense of hope. As they flipped through photos and shared their thoughts on each one, Emma realized how unexpected finds could reshape perspectives. The letters and keepsakes had not only ignited memories, but had also reignited their family ties in ways they hadn't anticipated. They felt closer now than ever. This shared experience forged connections that would guide them through their journey of healing. "Let's promise to keep sharing stories about Dad," Emma suggested, looking earnestly at her children. "Every time we gather for dinner or during the holidays, let's make it a tradition." Ben grinned widely at the idea. "And we can add new stories from our lives too, like when I finally learned to ride my bike without training wheels." "Yes," Lucy responded enthusiastically. "And I'll tell about my first performance in the school play." The prospect of weaving new experiences into their family tapestry filled Emma with excitement. She knew that by sharing moments from their lives, both past and present, they would be nurturing a bond that could withstand the trials life might throw their way. As they finished decorating the scrapbook, Emma felt a surge of gratitude for this unexpected journey and the treasures they had discovered within the confines of the old shed. It was remarkable how objects once forgotten could hold such power to evoke emotions and prompt heartfelt conversations. In those final moments of the day, as darkness settled in and the last rays of sunlight faded away, Emma realized that preserving memories was about more than just nostalgia. It was about creating a living legacy, a bridge connecting generations through love and laughter. The shed had transformed from an old storage space into a sanctuary filled with vibrant echoes of family memories, each story a thread binding them closer together. As they cuddled on the floor, wrapped in blankets with their scrapbook in hand, Emma felt at peace, knowing that they would be able to navigate life together, carrying Mark's love in their hearts while shaping new stories of their own. Though loss would always be part of their journey, this experience illuminated a path toward brighter tomorrows filled with hope, understanding, and an enduring love that would never fade away. In those precious moments shared together, Emma found solace in knowing that even amidst grief, unexpected discoveries could lead to deeper connections and cherished traditions. A true testament to Mark's lasting impact on their lives forevermore.